This episode of Family Trips is brought to you by Nissan. Nissan SUVs have the capabilities to take your adventure to the next level. Learn more at nissanusa.com. Hi, Pashi.
Hi, Suvi.
I'm very excited. I'm going to get you out east. It's a rarity.
I know.
It's a rarity to get you to come back home to the coast you grew up on.
It's not that rare, but it's special.
It's special. You know what? It's special. One of the problems is you're a snob, right? Like you're a West Coast snob now.
Yeah, I'm always waving that W and up in the air.
You are.
Yeah.
You're the West Coast. But this is very exciting. You're coming out because you and I are going to appear at On Air Fest. It's a podcast festival, and you and I think our listeners know, have ourselves a podcast.
We do, but this is going to be our first podcast fest.
Yeah, this is our first fest. And I think it speaks, and I want to thank the listeners. You got to have a fair amount of listeners before they invite you to the fest. So thank you, Family Trips listeners. It's going to be at the Wythe Hotel in Brooklyn on March 1st. And you guys could go to onairfest.com if you want to see us in person.
Yeah, it should be really fun. It's going to be just a conversation with us, and I don't know. I can't answer the questions yet because I don't know what they are.
Right. Hopefully a bunch of gotcha questions. I will say one of the nice things about seeing us in person is, unlike the podcast, you know which one of us is talking.
Yeah.
I can't recommend that enough.
Right. Unless you close your eyes. Don't close your eyes.
Here's what I'm worried about when I'm talking about the snobbiness of you coming east.
Uh-huh.
I'm assuming we'll get you to come to the slopes with the boys.
Oh, yeah.
So you'll come skiing with the kids, and look, it's not a mountain up to your standards.
But I have skied it once last year, and I loved it. It was so fun. It was like, it's fun for me to ski with your little dudes.
Yeah, and they've taken a real leap, let me just say.
Yeah. And I also, I think I've said this before, but your eldest, Ash, insists that he goes really fast. And I just need to be able to keep skiing faster than him. He will pass me someday.
Right.
But it ain't today. He's 7.
So I had a really wonderful thing, which is Axel's class finishes a half hour before Ash's. And Axel wanted to go skiing with me, which was great. So I geared up in expectation of this. And just going up on the ski lift with him, so much fun. We did a couple of runs. And then we picked up Ash. And Ash also wanted to do a run with us. So now I got both boys so excited to get 3 of us on a ski lift. Ash insistent he goes on his own lift. He does it. He tells me he doesn't want to go with us. He knows how to get the bar down. I'm like, fine. Me and Axel get on. Ash gets on the next one. Pashi, watching him get the bar down was the most terrifying thing I've ever seen. Swear to God, thought he was going to fall off. And just trying to think of how I'd explain to Alexi. Well, he said he wanted to go alone. Meanwhile, drops one of his poles. Everything about it was so stressful, touch and go. And again, it's why I like being inside. So just promise when you're there. I think hopefully he'll be excited enough to be on a lift with his uncle. But we're just don't let him go solo.
Yeah, no. I feel like there are signs that also say don't do that, but I don't know. You're a big TV star, so.
The other problem, not a problem, but way home, I get the boys to skiing.
Yeah.
And you know that I'm married to truly the greatest mom I could possibly be married to. But yet I get them there. It was pouring rain. I got them in their boots, their gloves, their hats. They have so much shit to put on. I was really proud of myself skiing. And then on the way home, stop for hot cocoa. Now, this is something I've added to the day. This was a unilateral decision by me to get them cocoa. And I say to them, just don't spill it all over yourself. I'm trying to teach them, and I know I shouldn't do this, I'm trying to teach them to hide their crimes. Basically, like, we're going to get cocoa. Just don't look like you had cocoa.
Which is tough for a kid.
It's tough for a kid. We got home. I opened the back door. Axel, it looked like he murdered a person made of chocolate. It looked like he stabbed a person made of chocolate 1,000 times. Just all over his pants, his shirt, his face, his hair. Disaster.
Oh, man. But that almost feels like that kid's natural state.
Yeah,
It's just like he's going to be covered in something.
He is an agent of chaos.
Yeah. He's a wildling.
He's a wild, like his teacher said, I said, how did Axel do this week? He said, Axel loves to ski and he also loves mischief. And we like him more when he's focusing on skiing instead of mischief, which I will say that is a very kind piece of feedback to give to a parent when what you're really saying is half the time your kid's a dickhead.
Yeah. Do you know what this alpine mischief is?
Well, so great question. I said to him, what sort of mischief are we talking about? And as I said that, Axel said, here was your pole, and threw the teacher's pole into the woods. Also, Axel did a very funny thing. Axel is very funny. We're going up on the lift, and a dad was skiing with his son and said, good job, Leon. And Axel said, hey, Leon. And the kid looked up, and Axel waved at him. And I said, oh, is Leon in your class? He goes, no, I have never met Leon. I just heard his name. So he literally heard the dad call him Leon and then just confused the shit out of the kid.
Yeah. Which also, when you're skiing, looking up at a lift takes you away from what you should be focusing on.
Yeah. Even when Ash had almost fallen off the lift, Axel was screaming at him to try to talk to him on the lift. I'm like, stop talking to Ash. Ash does not need to be distracted right now.
Didn't Ash in a previous week spill hot chocolate all over himself?
Yeah. The last week.
But Axel gave him a hard time about it.
Yeah, Axel did give him a hard time about it. Well, so Axel didn't spill it. Axel just
Right.
got it all over himself. Axel feels like, also, I said to Axel, when we got home, I said, all right, you have to dump out whatever you have left. You can't bring Coco into the house. Your sister's there. No one's going to want her to see that you guys had hot chocolate. So Axel said, I still have half a cup left. And I said, all right, when you get out of the car, dump it on the ground. I opened the door and he literally just threw it at my pants.
Out of anger or
No,
this is the solution.
He was trying to dump it on the ground, but I was just standing right there.
Right.
But I said, why couldn't you just wait? And it's... He's so funny because he's very literal, but then also 85% of the time he ignores the literal words you're saying. So
yeah, well, I can't wait to see him when I come out there for On Air
wait
Fest.
to see him. Hey, we had this is one of my favorites that you're about to listen to.
Yeah,
and again, I love them all, but man, Mo Amer has as unique a story as anyone we've talked to on this pod.
Absolutely, yeah, like a journey from where he started to where he's got now, and he's got stand-up specials on Netflix. He's got his show Mo on Netflix. Season 2 is about to come out, but where he started to where he is kind of crazy.
A lot of times, we talk about family trips as optional things people do. A lot of Mo's family trips were due to geopolitical circumstances, and he has a great appreciation for his parents and how they took care of him and his siblings. So it's a great story. He's a great chat. And go to onairfest.com if you want to see us in Brooklyn. And listen to Jeff Tweedy. He's got a few things to say to you. It might sound a little familiar, but always beautiful.
Family trips with the Myers brothers.
Yeah.
Hey, wee. How's it going?
Hi, Mo. How are you?
Mo, I'm very sorry. This is Josh. I'm just on my phone. I can't see you. I got technical difficulties.
This is a Skype emoji. What is this? We went back in time.
I don't think I'm on Skype. I think I'm just on Zoom audio, but maybe they're mimicking the Skype icon.
Every time you talk, we see a green phone. Anyway, Mo, since we've been lucky enough to meet and you haven't met my brother, I will just tell you he looks exactly like me, but 15% handsomer.
He sounds just like you.
Yeah, he does sound just like me. This is actually the easiest because you'll be able to tell who's talking because it's either my face or a green phone icon.
You know, if Josh starts speaking, it almost sounds like your subconscious is talking. Like it's. Maybe switch it up.
Yeah. Oh, I wish I was a little bit taller. Yeah, I wish, I don't know. Wish I could sleep better.
Yes, wish you slept better. Oh man, come hang out with me. You'll sleep great. I'm a great sleeper, phenomenal sleeper.
Have you always been a great sleeper?
I am when I do sleep. Whenever it's time for bed, I'm a sleeper for sure. I'm out. Like I'll work hard. I'll hit it 20 hours, but when it's time, it's over. I'll see you on the flip side. You can shake me. Maybe a little smack, No. I'm still sleeping. I'm still doing the thing.
I'm an exceptional sleeper. I've always been an exceptional sleeper. Same thing, especially my SNL years, would work 20, 30 hours straight and then just conk out. And I am married to a woman who is a terrible sleeper. And I think it might be the hardest thing about our relationship. Because if I so much as roll over, I've ruined her entire evening. Whereas she could make eggs at the foot of the bed and I wouldn't wake up.
That's so funny because my ex-wife was like this and I just got remarried recently and I said to myself, that's the number one thing. How do you sleep? Do you sleep well? I'm not asking you to restart, by the way, Seth. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just saying you can find other solutions. I'm just saying we both sleep exceptionally well. So I'm out. I could walk around I walked in and the entire alarm was blaring in the house. I didn't know she had set the alarm and the house was going. I was like, oh no, I'm about to wake her up. And I just had a baby. We just had a baby like 7 weeks ago. So I was just like, oh my God, the baby's probably up and she's up. And I turned off the alarm and I ran in there and she's sound asleep. My baby's sound asleep because we're both exceptional sleepers. So then the baby, we passed it on to the baby. And I'm just about to walk into the restroom and on the hardwood floors, it just went, see? And she woke up like, hi, babe. I was like, you're a psycho. What what just happened? Do you know the entire house? There's fire trucks outside. You just slept through all that. But the squeaking on the floor is what got you. I don't know what it is. But I'm the same way. It could be like something I feel threatened or somebody's around. I'll wake up. It's very interesting.
And are you 8 hours? Do you think you typically get 8 hours a night or can you go like long? Because our parents have turned into people who can sleep like 10, 11 hours a night, which is weird. But there are people who can do that. Where are you at?
No, I can't do 10 and 11 hours. If I do 10, 11 hours, that means I stayed up deliberately for a really long time. Like I'm in pre-production for my show right now, so I'm trying to get as much rest as possible, gearing up for the actual production of it all. So, and those are like, a great easy day is like 12 to 14 hours. Like, yay, it's such a short day, So I'm just kind of building up to that. I've been sleeping early, waking up super early, going to work out. I'm doing this experiment on myself, trying to see how much weight and how chiseled I can get before March 4th. I got 50 workouts before March 4th right now. I'm 30, almost 30 workouts in, and we're going to do another 50, which I don't know how we're going to do that. And I wake up on Mondays crying usually that I have to restart the whole week because it's 6 days a week. Work out 6 days a week. And this week we're flipping to 8 workouts this week. And so I'm just, when Saturday comes, I'm like so excited that I made it through it. And then Sunday is the only off day. And then tomorrow you're like, oh God, I got to do this again. Why?
Have you ever had this is my workout era, or is this a whole new thing?
No, I had some boxing years like in my early 20s, and I just loved martial arts, and I did that in my teens, and then I just loved boxing. I'm a huge fan of Muhammad Ali, and he's a huge inspiration for me and for so many people, as you know. But I just loved technique, and I loved boxing, so I did that for like a good 4 or 5 years, like straight, and I was just a monster for a long time. And then the career took off, so I was touring most of the time, and you get lazy, fall back into really bad traps, and stuff can sneak up on you, and it sure in hell did for me, And it's just a bummer. And so the longer you wait, the sadness continues to build up. Like, why did I let myself do this? And actually, my friend Toby Nwigwe, who Grammy-nominated artist, who's my co-star in the show, he calls me up all the time. He's like, Mo, you can't be a fat genius. You know, you can't be this. It's funny. He's my best friend. He's always motivating me. He's like, you just can't be. You can't be a genius loser. Like, you can't. Like, every morning he wakes me up and he's sweating and he's just so, he's just an athlete. And he's like, and I'm like, you're right. You're right. So I started going to this gym called Kengo, which is a whole nother situation. It's a whole nother level.
It sounds like a gym where there's no nonsense. One summer, I trained with a boxing instructor, and I realized it wasn't for me when he kept calling my jabs angel kisses.
Well,
in front of other people, I should note.
I got angel kissed right on the honker, like right in between. It wasn't even like right on the nose. It was right here. He was shorter than me. He was one of the trainers there. And I was sparring a ton. And he was like the last sparring session. And he hit me like right here. And I had him the whole time. I was like really kept my distance, doing great. He hit me right here. Got a little angel kiss right there. And it was such a weird location. My eyes went blurry. My eyes were watering. I didn't know where he was. He was just beating the snot out of me. And then I felt like I was potato head. I could detach my nose, move it to the right, left. It was just the most painful thing. I'm like, I'm a comedian. What the hell am I doing? This is dumb. This is so dumb. Like, I was on stage and for some reason the mic like hit my nose or something, and it just felt like I died. I was like, this is the last time. And I think that's when I quit. I was like, I don't need this. I'm not trying to go win the Golden Gloves to become a pro boxer. I'm a comedian. That's what I do. Okay, I learned enough. Thank you, namaste, whatever you say when you exit this gym, I'm out. So that's the last time it was over for me. That's not for me.
I did Taekwondo for a little while, and there was always a sparring day. And my master, Master Park, was like, let's spar with me today. And I was like, okay, great. And in Taekwondo, you wear like a mask that sort of has a cage over your face, and then there's padding that sort of circles your face. And he hit that cage into my face so many times that I had a bruise, like an oval bruise going from my forehead down both of my cheeks and down my chin. And he really tuned me up. But a lot of respect.
Yeah. My Taekwondo teacher slapped me with his foot once.
That's not fair.
And it was such control behind it. It was like, tick. I was like, okay. Yeah. He's like 5'4", maybe. And he just slapped me I was like, it's so humiliating.
Well, those Taekwondo teachers, you'll think that your guard's up and you're doing the best you can. You got your hands up and your elbows in, and then they'll find that spot where you're not protected, and they'll hit you in it just to be like, you're not as well protected as you think you are, and it's a good wake up call.
No, he hit me in slow motion one time as a fake sword. He was doing like Kali sticks, and he was like, okay, block, 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 block. I swear to you, like this slow, block, 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 block. It hit me right in the face. I'm like, how did I miss that? It was like I just whiffed completely. He was going in ultra slow motion.
The takeaway from this conversation so far is if you're ever with a comedian who tells you they're trained in boxing or martial arts and you get attacked, you're still fucked.
Exactly. Yeah.
They cannot protect you. You're getting ready for season 2 of Mo.
Yep. Yeah, I'm currently in pre-production right now.
All right, so this is a fantastic autobiographical show. You're also great in Rami, which is also a great autobiographical show. And what I love about both shows, in what I'm very excited to talk to you about today, very different backgrounds than Josh and I. And your story is incredible. You were born in Kuwait, and you're 9 years old when you moved to Houston. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah.
And so early life, before you get to Houston and your family lives in Kuwait, were you taking family trips? And what were those like? Yeah,
it's funny because it's a vacation that I always reference because it was like the last time any semblance of like a real family vacation. When you have to like leave something such as heavy as the Gulf War, family trips are like the last thing, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, hey, right. What should we do this summer? Survive,
Of course, right.
So we had this particular vacation like it foreshadowed my entire future. It's really, really something that I just discovered a few years ago, how impactful it was. We went to Egypt. It was my mother, father, and my brother and myself. We went to Cairo. Amazing experience going there. But it was the first time I saw live performance as well. My father took us to a great play called What Sayyid al-Shaghal, which is led by this just icon of a comedic actor, Adil Imam, which I was like 7 years old at the time. And I didn't even understand how impactful it was to me, but I was laughing so hard. And my mother's looking at me like, how do you even understand any of this? I was like, no, I get it. I just understood the physicality and the emotion behind it. And I just thought it was like wildly entertaining. And something there definitely struck me in that situation. And then from there, we went to like Mango Island, and there was like what is Mango Island? There's an entire island that's just dedicated to mangoes. Like, I want to live here. Please leave me under this tree. Leave me, family. It's been a good run. I love you, yes, but you must leave me here because mango is the greatest fruit, in my opinion, of all time.
Was Mango Island truly a full island just dedicated to mangoes? Was it?
It was all mango trees. The entire thing was just like a small, it's probably like super tiny, but I was 7, so it was glorious. It was, it was stumbling along the pyramids. It was just like, pyramids are nice. Leave me here at Mango Island. Like, that's all I really cared about. And my father, may rest in peace, he passed away in 95, but my father always wore suits, like every day. It doesn't matter. The beach, it's a suit. He's rolling up his slacks and he's walking in the ocean. Like, he never left the house without a suit and tie, at the very least, a tall button up with a jacket. Like, didn't matter what time of day it was, what time of year it was. If we're going to a baseball game, it's always that. And seeing on my father in a suit and tie on a horse, we horsebacked a lot there through the pyramids. It's just so funny. All the pictures is him is in a suit and tie. Like, this is vacation. But no, you always have to be presentable. And that's just the way he rolled. And there was this picture that it's ingrained in me. I'm holding this VHS camera, the old VHS cameras you hold over your shoulder, and you just have to peek through to film, and you got to stay real stable to get anything good out of it. I'm holding it in my left hand, and my mom and my brother are next to me, and there's a man standing behind me. He has his hands on me like this. We're taking a picture of him. I have no clue who this person is. It turns out to be, his name is Yusuf Idris, who is like an iconic playwright, screenwriter, like one of the most prolific guys ever in the region. Like, he's that guy. And I'm holding this camera, and I have my mom and my brother next to me, who are the leads in my show today. And I have this video camera left-hand side with this iconic playwright and screenwriter has his hands on my shoulders. And I'm wearing a shirt that no one monitored. Okay? We were swimming so much on this family vacation that I ran out of clothes, and I think my mom just went down to some crappy tourist shop and just like reached in, one of those baskets, like 3 shirts for $10 kind of thing. And she just reached in there and grabbed these shirts. I'm wearing a U.S. military recruitment shirt that says, "Join the forces, kill." Like, what in the world is this shirt? And 2 years later, the war happened.
Wow.
And then 4 years later, I started doing stand-up comedy as a little 13-year-old. And, 25 years after that, I have my own series where my mom and my brother lead. Now, this video camera, I thought, was gone forever. So I was touring in the Middle East. I look at my manager. It's like whenever I tour the Middle East, it's not just touring the Middle East. I'm doing arenas. It's like just imagining this small kid that left Kuwait for Houston and then comes back all these years later, and they're like building theaters for me to perform in. It's just really surreal. So it's deeply emotional. So I'm really reflective every time I go back, and I'm looking at my phone, I'm looking at that picture, and I still didn't even realize what kind of shirt I was wearing until then. I was like, Mustafa, my man, I was like, look what the hell I'm wearing. Nobody monitored this shirt. This is so absurd. And I look at the video camera and I go, man, I wish I knew what happened to this video camera. It's been like 30 years at this point. It's probably gone. This is 2 days, right? 2 days later, I'm in Amman, Jordan. I'm at my aunt's house. We just ate a really dense dish, and it was just like everybody's falling asleep. Like literally everyone is just passing out. And I hear my aunt almost like in slow motion, like Will Ferrell and old school, like, I got a video camera for you, you know? I have a video camera. And I was like, what? Yeah, what? Like this. And she leaves. She's like 75, so it's real heavy. She comes back, and she has the video camera that I was referencing 2 days prior in her hand, and I couldn't believe it. And then my cousin walks in with all these plastic bags full of VHS tapes, and I was like, no way. Sure enough, the camera's in mint condition. That night back at the hotel, I'm like, so curious to see if it works. I plug it in, start sticking VHS tapes in there. You know, you got to look in the viewfinder to see what the hell you're watching. The first video is a Michael Jackson concert. I was like, well, it's the 80s. Michael Jackson was very popular. Put it back in. Oh, another Michael Jackson concert. Really love Michael Jackson. Next one is a family. There's some kind of party going on. I recognize some of the people, but I don't recognize the house. And I'm just desperate to see my dad because I don't have any video footage of my father at that point. And 5 minutes later, he walks into the screen. He's like the life of the party. He's taking portraits of everyone. It was the most unbelievable thing.
Wow.
And I ended up unearthing like, oh my God, I think it was like 15 VHS tapes. And some of that footage was from that family vacation in Egypt. It was unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. It's in mint condition. This baby right here.
Well, look at that
Look at
case.
this. Look at this baby. It's for sale. We'll be on eBay next week after this documentary. No, kid.
That's real good.
Isn't that crazy?
You mentioned your dad wearing a suit, and so in my head I thought, oh, he must be a serious cat. But then you also said he was the life of the party.
He is.
Were you close? Was he a fun guy to be around?
Super fun guy. Like really, really entertaining. He loved poetry. He loved literature. He loved the arts in general. He was a telecommunications engineer, so he was always hip to the latest technology, you know, as far as cameras, lenses, any kind of tech, televisions, he was on it. And his office at the house was just him tinkering with different technology of that day. Like he would dissect it, open it up, and understand it inside and out. He was actually pivotal in building the first radio station in Kuwait. His entire team was the ones that helped create wireless communication between oil rigs. He's a really, really brilliant dude. He's also very serious, you know, at times. The dad is always, you know, has that, yeah, he wants to raise a man, you know, like that kind of energy, but really, really sweet, super fun, just an entertaining guy and constantly the life of the party. And one of those VHS tapes I actually unearthed it was like 2 a.m., everybody's sitting around, and he had like two poets there, and they were reciting poetry in the house, and I was up like just excited to be part of the fun, and mom serving fruit, and it was just, he was a really lively guy, and he was all about traveling and took my mom everywhere, you know, whenever he could. It was 6 of us, so 2 of my brothers were studying here in the States, and my brother and I and my sisters were in Kuwait still.
Wow. So if this is before the Gulf War. You have 2 of your siblings are studying in the State. Was Western culture at all a part of your upbringing? Was that something you were aware of before Houston?
Listen, the only thing I was aware of was moonlighting, okay? Because my sisters were obsessed with moonlighting. It was like Bruce Willis and Sybil Shepherd, I think, or something.
Yeah,
I was
100%
like, what is this? No, music was a big part of it, you know. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Western culture was absolutely spreading well there, and it was all these licensing, all these different shows that would come in to Kuwait. But at that point, I was so young, and I was an outside kid. I was constantly outside with my friends playing sports. I would just leave. Like my mom would tell me, like I was so worried. You would leave. I was like 5 years old. I would just leave and come back like after dinner. I didn't know where you were. And it's super safe in Kuwait. It's not like the same concerns you have here. It's so safe. And it's very, very different experience when I first landed here in the States. I was like, where am I? It was really, really a massive contrast for me. And nobody told me what Halloween was. Like when I showed up to the States, it was like 2 days before Halloween happened. And I've never seen anything like this. And then Halloween happened. And I was like, oh my God, what is wrong with everything? I was just freaking out. And It was one of those.
Yeah, it feels like we should put a warning out about Halloween to people that are moving over here.
Well, I landed like 2 days before, and then Halloween happened. Like, whoa, what is this? America's dark, man. Like, this is like year 9, so everything is so much bigger, right? Everything is so grand when you see it. It's like skeletons everywhere, and their eyes are hanging out, and there's like blood coming off their face. I just came from war, bro. Don't do this. I'm triggered. I'm very triggered by this. No, it wasn't like that.
Hey, we're going to take a quick break and hear from some of our sponsors. Hey, Paji.
Hey, Sufi.
It's official. We have found the softest clothing brand of all time.
Oh, so soft.
San Francisco base brand Marine Layer.
These t-shirts, they're insanely soft. They do something that I can't believe more places don't do. Their sizing is so good. They will have like a large and a medium, but then there's like a medium large. There's like a Marge size. So you can always find your perfect fit over at Marine Layer. If there's something you like, you're not going to be in between because they got your in-betweens.
It's a bummer too because it's well-made clothes, and sometimes it's not their fault that you're falling between a medium and a large, but they fix that for themselves. And let me just say, softness aside, they also have these lightweight puffer vests, puffer jackets. I'm a big fan of puffer, both the style and the word.
Uh-huh.
I like to say, grab me my puffer.
Yep.
I think my kids like it. And also, you know why I like puffer? Do you remember what I used to call my inhaler?
Your puffy?
Yeah, my puffy. So now I have my puffy, which is my Ventolin inhaler, and my puffer.
Also, for a limited time, our listeners get a 15% off discount with our exclusive link. Just head to marinelayer.com/trips.
I think we can all admit that great clothes can be hard to find. Look no further than Marine Layer. For a limited time, get 15% off at marinelayer.com/trips. That's marinelayer.com/trips for 15% off your entire order, saving your closet one shirt at a time. This episode is brought to you by US Bank. I'm a foodie to the core. Whether it's in the kitchen, trying out a new recipe, and then having my wife come into that same kitchen and say, get out of the kitchen, you're doing it wrong. Or going to a new restaurant. And now whether I'm eating out or eating in, I can earn rewards with the US Bank Altitude Go Visa signature card. Hey, Pashi.
Yes, Sufi.
Spent the holidays in New Mexico, where my wife is from. You've been there. You've come every once in a while.
Beautiful.
And one of the best eating parts of the country that I was never aware of until I met Alexi, Southwestern cuisine, green chilies, red chilies.
What do they call it when you order them both together?
You know what it's called? It's called Christmas.
Wow.
And we're not just making that up. You can say Christmas all year round, and they know that that's red and green together. You know what the best part is?
What's that?
Got to use my US Bank Altitude Go Visa signature card, and if you do the same thing, you'll earn 4 times points when you go out for dining or order takeout and restaurant delivery, plus earn 2 times points when you shop for or order your groceries. Think of all the rewards you will earn every time you make your favorite meal or order from your favorite restaurant.
The Altitude Go card also earns 2 times points at gas stations and EV charging stations, as well as on streaming services. Plus, discover how you can earn 20,000 bonus points, a $200 value at usbank.com/altitudego when you apply. Live every day your way with the Altitude Go card. Learn more at usbank.com/altitudego. Limited time offer. The creditor and issuer of this card is US Bank National Association, pursuant to a license from Visa USA Incorporated. Some restrictions may apply.
Here we go.
I mean, obviously you're leaving for the worst possible reason, but also you're at an age where it's also probably scary to make a move like that, even if it was for a less awful reason. What was in your head? Like, how had it been described to the kids, like what was about to happen with this move to Houston?
Well, here's the thing about Arabs. We don't communicate to our children, you know? We don't tell them anything. You just be like, hey, everything's going to be fine. And they hold everything in. Our parents protect us from everything, and they just put it right in there. And then it comes out about 20 years later when they tell you everything. But it was, that's usually how it works in our culture. But no, it was very clear that, you know, the plan was to come here to Houston, and we're starting a new life for obvious reasons. But what was going through my mind is honestly, like, my mom actually went back to Kuwait and dealt with much, much worse circumstances than I did. So she's such a soldier in that way. Like, I couldn't believe, you know, what she actually went through and put herself through to make sure that her kids were safe. She's such a hero of mine for that. And when I got to Houston, it's a lot has changed. So everyone was close to each other. My families are all next to each other. My uncle is 3 houses down. My cousins are there. So it's just unearthing. You're starting something completely new. And it's really a testament to Houston. Houston is such a special and unique place, and it doesn't get the credit that it deserves. And that's why I wanted to film my series here so badly, because it's such a diverse place and immediately makes you feel at home. And the friends that I've made when I first arrived in Houston are still my friends to this day. We're very, very close. I see them as much as possible. And that's the kind of community it does. Even though it's the fourth largest city, they call it H-Town, right? So it feels like a small town and a village in some way. So that really helped a lot of it. And then the rest of it was like the social curve, understanding what's cool, what's not cool, getting into fourth grade and just walking in, where I went to a private British English school in Kuwait, where I was learning, multiple languages and almost starting like pre-algebraic formulas. And then I get here and the curriculum is they're still doing just addition here. Like, I couldn't believe it. And it was throwing me off. And there's kids trying to drag me to the bathroom because Bloody Mary is going to appear in the mirror if they say it 3 times and write her name. Like, what are you guys doing in America? It was just, why are these trying to summon a satanic being in the mirror? This is awful. It was one of those. It was just really, really tough. Boy, let me tell you, those first couple of years were really, really tough. Just trying to acclimate to what was going on with the kids here at the schools. I was just really worried about their futures. I was more worried about them than I was myself. Oh man, I was like, guys, let's bring it back together. Let's put it back all together.
You guys are messed up.
Yeah, you guys are really messed up here.
You had a British accent too, didn't you, Mo, when you came over?
I had a hint of a British, because I learned British English, so it was all like,
right.
Hello, pardon, I would say things like that. Pardon me.
Yeah, so not only were you doing algebra, but you were also sounding more erudite than I imagine the kids in your class.
Let me tell you something. Nothing gets you smacked faster in fourth grade in Houston than saying, pardon me. That will get you a good smack, let me tell you. And the one thing that made me cool immediately is I could throw a football like nobody's business. And when it was like that, I was like, oh, the foreign kid's really, really talented.
Was that just something that came to you naturally? You weren't throwing a football around in Kuwait, were you?
No, I was throwing. It's funny because we would play football with a soccer ball sometimes, just as hey, let's try this. And my brother would show me this, like, oh. And so when he would leave and go back to college, me and the guys were like, oh, this is what they do, watch, and we just throw an actual soccer ball as a football, but we weren't really playing that way. I think my brother brought me one at some point, but it was just, I was a natural at it right out of the gate. I could just zip that thing, man. I could just throw it. I was throwing like 50, 60 yards in like 8th grade.
They'll look the other way at a lot of weird stuff in Texas if you can throw a football. I mean, know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
They've ignored worse than pardon me in a British accent if a kid can throw a football.
Exactly. Oh, it changed immediately. When I was good at sports, it was like, oh, okay. He's one of us, y'all. Come on in, man. Come on. It was like that. My gym teachers would always clearly they were looking for a quarterback in 7th grade. He's like, we're going to put a cone out there. All right. All y'all get in line. Let's see who can throw the football close to the cone. Now the cone's about 50 yards away. Now you throw it 3 yards off, 4 yards off, 6 yards off. That means that's this. If it's 6 yards off and you threw it 50 yards, it means you threw it 44 yards. You get it? All right, come on. Everyone was just throwing shitty balls. And then I threw the hell out of it. It was 2 yards off the cone. He was like, hey, boy, you throw that in there, goddamn love. Let me talk to you for a second, boy. All of a sudden it became a meeting. You thought about playing football? I was like, yeah, sure. I'll do that. Yeah, I can do that.
So did you play? Did you play in high school? Or?
Yeah, no, I didn't play in high school. I played in middle school. I had aspirations too, but everything shifted for me dramatically in 9th grade with my father passing. I just didn't care anymore. I didn't care about school. I didn't care about anything. I was skipping school. I was living like Ferris Bueller's Day Off regularly. I was just a really adventurous kid. And then my English teacher is the one who, because I would tell everybody, I'm going to be a comedian anyway. I hate this place. I just hated everything, which is natural for a 14-year-old to go through so much turmoil in such a short period of time. And she reined it in for me. And she said, look, if you stop skipping, I'll allow you to do stand-up every Friday in class. I was like, I'm game. I was like, that sounds like a great deal. And I was like, hey, can I freestyle something today? Because the first line actually said, how would your father feel if you don't graduate? And I started crying. I was like, it's a cold shot, Mrs. Reed. I was like, this really hurts. And and she said, yeah, you can do something today. I was like, as long as you can incorporate something from Shakespeare, because that's what we're studying right now. I was like, okay, yeah. So I went up in front of the class with the book in my hand and started freestyling Macbeth, and kids were laughing. I was hooked, man. It was over. I was like, can I come in tomorrow and do my own, set? She was like, yeah. So I wrote a whole set and came in the next day, did the set. And then she let me do it, every week. And then by week 3, she took me to the theater arts department. She was like, listen, this kid's like walking in, doing like, he's done like, I think 8 different accents and really funny content that I've never heard of before. Like, I think he belongs in here. And Miss Kreisner looked at me like, look, yeah, maybe I do. I don't know. And that's it. From there, I just that really realigned my focus and gave me something to look forward to. And I started getting like leads in musical theater, and I didn't even know I could sing. I was like doing that and played Pseudolus. And a funny thing happened on the way to the forum, which has easily transformed my life. I loved Zero Mostel. I was introduced to him. Like I just started learning so much and graduated with honors because of her. Like,
That's amazing.
Changed my whole life. I failed 9th grade because I just didn't go to school. And then I caught up so fast because I was so excited about theater and I loved Chris Farley. So that's one thing I would do is I would wear a little jacket and I would go roast kids as Chris Farley in a little jacket. And I was so good at it that my Spanish teacher, Señorita Ferreira, got me out of other classes. So I basically got to skip with permission. And I had like 4 shows that day just roasting other Spanish classes that she had. She was like, you have to do it. I'll write you a thing. I was like, it's so good. She goes, if you could incorporate Spanish, I'll give you extra credit. I was like, okay, I'll figure it out. Just totally winging it. And I borrowed a jacket from theater arts department. I ended up ripping it by accident, but it really killed at that moment because it really was spontaneous. And I was just roasting kids. So I would just constantly had this reputation that I would just do stand up in class regularly. And I would be, with permission, allowed to skip other classes to come do stand up over there. So I was doing like multiple shows a day sometimes.
Obviously, your teachers think this is a good idea. How did your family respond to what obviously was a gift and was obviously working with the other students? Was this something that your mom was supportive of?
Oh, immediately. And she drove me to the clubs when I was, no, she didn't. No, she absolutely didn't understand it. Stand-up comedy is an indigenous art form in America. I think there's 2 more. I think it's jazz and hip hop and stand-up, right? So jazz has spread throughout the planet many, many years ago. Hip hop didn't really get there quite yet. And that was something I was introduced to. And so was stand-up. So those 2 things became a big part of my life. My mom didn't really understand it. I mean, I come from a highly educated family. Education's first. And so she didn't see the correlation. Like, you had to be smart to be a great stand-up. You can't just be a great stand-up and be just an idiot. You really, very, very hard to do it. And she never really understood the art form itself and where it could take you. And so, no, she was completely against it, didn't understand it. She would constantly try to get me not to, because I would get in my Toyota Camry and I would drive like 10 hours just to get into a club, right? And they're paying me like $75 to do a feature spot so I can come back and headline for like 300. You know what I mean? So it was one of those types of situations. She'd be like, how much you making? I'm like, oh, I'm making $500. And she'd be like, I'll give you $500 not to go. I was like, I'm really just making $100. I'm lying already. And she was like, well, I want to see the money when you come back. I was like, oh shit. 'Cause I was 17, Yeah. So I would drive back. I would sneak into a casino in New Orleans it was Lake Charles, excuse me. Right there on the border of Texas on the way back from Arkansas. I would stop there. I would sneak in there. And what I would do is I would wear nurse's scrubs, but I'd wear only the top and put on athletic bottoms so it looks like I just got off of work. So nobody would ID me. And I would go in and I would sit, play poker, and I would just wait for the greatest hand possible. And I would go all in, double, do it again, wait another hour or 2, go all in. Meanwhile, I'm driving overnight to get to that final number. I was like, okay, good. I have $450. I'll just say I bought lunch and gas and just make up excuses. And I would go home and be like, see? She's like, I don't care. I don't care. It's not good enough, And that actually drove me to a whole nother level. It made me so focused, where other guys that were starting were about the fantasy, not really about the work, you know? And so it really put me in a different mindset. So I'm really, really grateful for that. I think when my mom saw me at Radio City Music Hall with Dave, it was like Chappelle's show, and I think it was Lauryn Hill was there that night. She was performing, and she saw me working that night. That's when it really like hit her. I hit like different levels with her. And then the special taping, of course. But just to put it in perspective, like my mom watches news and game shows. Like that's it. You know, that's all she does. And there was a picture, I think we're in Abu Dhabi at Formula One. It was like Chappelle, Haddish, Rock, Chris Tucker. I mean, it was like full of legends, Will Smith, and then Steve Harvey. She looked at that picture. She goes, oh, Steve Harvey. My son really made it. You know. But now, yeah, just like it was like about a year ago, we were in the car, and she was like, remember all those nights you would come home at 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and I was so worried you're up to no good, but you had this whole vision for yourself that I couldn't see, and you would laugh at me. I didn't understand, and you had this clear vision for yourself. I was so proud of you. I'm so proud that you didn't listen to me. I'm so proud that you stuck with it, and it's that was like the greatest moment. It was really, really sweet.
I mean, I have to imagine the very fact that you had this sort of family where poets would come over to the house. It's different, obviously, but the idea of writing and performing, it did seem like that was valued. I have to imagine your dad would just be so incredibly proud at what you've accomplished.
Oh, my dad would be blown away. He wouldn't even believe it. He couldn't even, he would be like, maybe he would have. He was such an intuitive and inventive guy. Maybe he would have, but he's a special guy. He's a real special guy.
Hey, we're going to take a quick break and hear from some of our sponsors.
Family Trips is sponsored by BetterHelp. Hey, Pashi.
Yeah, Sufi.
You know what my favorite thing about this podcast is? We get to talk, and I like talking to you. And without this podcast, I feel we would talk less. And I think a lot of people in the world need someone to talk to and either don't have that person or are worried that what they want to talk about is not the sort of thing their friends and family want to hear, which is why therapy is such a helpful tool.
Absolutely. You know, I think both of us would admit to being hotheads in our younger days. And it's still in there, but I feel like both of us have probably gotten a handle on it somewhat through the help of therapy and some introspection and maybe coming to the realization that you could catch more flies with honey.
You could catch more flies with honey, and I feel like my relationship with you, my relationship with mom, my relationship with dad have all been helped thanks to therapy. And if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It is entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule.
Just fill out a brief questionnaire and get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge.
Become your own soulmate, whether you're looking for one or not. Visit BetterHelp.com/trips today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/trips.
Support for Family Trips comes from Fidelity.
If you're like me, you're not looking to work forever, so that means you need to start planning for retirement, which might seem daunting.
But with Fidelity, it's easy to start planning for retirement.
Fidelity helps you envision your future while focusing on both your short and long-term goals.
Fidelity will help you look at your full financial picture and help you create a plan to save effectively. A plan that helps you balance risk and reward based on your comfort level.
And once you have the actionable steps that will help you get to the future, you can stress less about it and enjoy more of life right now. It's what Fidelity calls the planning effect. And you can learn more about it at fidelity.com/planning effect.
Investment involves risk, including risk of loss. Advisory services provided by Fidelity Personal and Workplace Advisors, LLC, for a fee. Brokerage services by Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. This episode of Family Trips is brought to you by Nissan.
Hey, Pashi, ever wonder what's around that next corner? What happens if you push further?
Seth, I know that's something you ask me every day.
Sure do, because your answers are unsatisfactory to me. Nissan, on the other hand, gives us the answer, and that's why we're excited to partner with Nissan, because Nissan SUVs have the capabilities to take your adventure to the next level.
You know, Sufi, we love celebrating family adventures on this podcast called Family Trips. So take a Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure.
With the 2024 Nissan Rogue, the class exclusive Google built-in is your always updating assistant to call on for almost anything. No need to connect your phone as Google Assistant. Google Maps and Google Play Store are built right into the 12.3-inch HD touchscreen infotainment system on the 2024 Nissan Rogue.
So thanks again to Nissan for sponsoring this episode of Family Trips. Now go find your next big adventure and enjoy the ride along the way. Learn more at nissanusa.com.
Here we go.
You know, I obviously, you know, it's a weird time and your father passed away when you were young, but would you guys take family trips within the States? Were there places you went?
No, we really didn't do that before then. I know this is all about family trips. Unfortunately, there was only one before it all happened. But no, my memories with my dad was just, when he landed in the States, it's so grueling for him. He was in the 50s. He had to start over. He went from being from nothing, I say from rags to riches to rags again, so it was a really, really difficult thing. But he opened up a 99-cent store. And he's like, well, it's a 99-cent store plus. So he wore a suit every day to that. And he had his telephones that, the neighborhood wasn't really that great. And he knew that the neighborhood, probably most people that lived there, didn't have access to all these really cool phones for a good price. So every day, suited up, the entire line of most incredible, innovative phones that people don't see it in that area. And he was selling them like hotcakes. He probably transformed that whole neighborhood. He was like, this phone has a hold button that plays music. They were like, you can play music? And he was just selling like crazy. So I would get in his station wagon, that seat that's no kid or any human being really should sit on, that last seat where you're facing out. And you're looking at everybody, it's just awkwardly just staring at everyone behind you. And we would go to Harwin Drive here in Houston, which is the import-export capital of Houston, basically. And we would go on trades. And that's how I learned just business. I learned business from him that way. And a lot of those friends that he made when he first landed in the States with all those merchants became my friends after he passed away, and they gave me jobs when I was a teenager with them just to kind of help out with the fam. But that's why I was skipping school when I was 14. I was doing so well selling merchandise, and that's what inspired it in the show. Because I was selling fake watches. I'll admit to this. I think there's it's fine.
Statute of limitations is passed.
Do you think anyone's ever going to come at you and be like, hey, this is not real?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Mo, I remember you.
Yeah, maybe. That maybe happened. But the funny thing is they would show up because at the end of the week, I worked at this convenience store and I would sell so much at this convenience store. At the end of the week, they were all wearing the same stuff, outside. They're like, hey, Mo, where'd you get that from? Oh, man. Oh, and they would walk in. They're like, man, you told me it was the last one. I was like, well, it was the last one at that time. I got new merchandise and it happened. But for real, this is the only one that I have. This Movado. It's two-tone. It's the only one that I have, and I promise I won't sell another one. They were like, oh, man, that's really cool. I was like, yeah, you want it? They would come in upset. They would leave with more merchandise.
What do you think you were selling a watch for? What were you getting per piece?
I was getting anywhere from $100 to $150 a piece.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I'd buy them for about $50.
That's pretty good.
And I would get them on consignment initially. No, it was a really good margin.
Sure is.
But the thing is, no one can get access to them, so you can't get them. So if you got them, then it's like, you'd have to go to Harvard if you're the right guy. And then there's different levels of fake, which is hilarious, Oh, this one you can hear the ticking. This is a disaster. You can't wear that. Like, it's supposed to be kinetic energy and work and winds itself. This thing is a disaster. Can't be wearing that. I would tell them this. I would have the cheap version and I would have the excellent version. Like, see the difference? Listen to that. You can't hear anything. They were like, yeah, you're right. I'll sell you this for $50 if you want. But if you want to go, it's $150. If you want that.
Right. And the one you'd sell for $50, you probably got for $20.
Yeah, sometimes maybe 15, probably.
You love Houston. Were you into Houston sports? Were you trying to go to like Astros games, Rockets games, Oilers games back then? Was
Absolutely.
it Oilers?
I only went to one Oilers game. It was much harder to go to those. I went to go see Dan Marino and Warren Moon play against each other. That was like
Classic.
the
Fun.
huge thing for me. My brother dropped me off at the game. I ran in. It was the most exciting thing I ever saw. I got to check off that on my bucket list. Loved baseball. Went to tons of Astros, Braves playoff games. Unfortunately, those ended horribly, but went there, got to experience the Astrodome. And now, Hakeem Olajuwon, the dream, is one of my, people I looked up to so much when I was a kid. He was so easily accessible as well for us. I would see him all the time at the mosque or whatever. Like, he would just show up. And we couldn't believe that he would just be there. And then just quite literally 2 days ago, I sat with him at the Rockets game and we were talking about my show, and, I got to do a Q&A with him. And my dad, before he passed away, actually, he took me to meet Hakeem at a Nigerian mosque on Friday prayer. And I showed him the picture. He remembered my father. He remembered that day. It's surreal. And now the Astros are like the guys I grew up idolizing and looking up to. The Astros are like my friends, and they're coming out to my show, and I have all their baseballs, as you can see. Like, I'm super into it. I have all their baseballs back here, and my whole office is flooded with memorabilia. And they just gave me an Astros World Series ring. Like, I'm so excited. I know you guys are from East Coast, and it says 4-0 against the Yankees. I just want to remind you guys.
Oh, no, we're Red Sox fans. Very happy that you
I knew
beat
you're
the
Red
Yankees.
Sox. Yeah.
Very
okay,
happy you beat the Yankees.
Yeah.
I will say there's nothing better than being on a first name basis with someone you first loved as an athlete.
Insane.
You just can't believe it. They seem like a different species. And then when you actually meet them, and especially in your case, the fact that you're making work that they want to go buy a ticket for, to be able to flip the script like that, what an awesome thing.
It's unbelievable. So Reggie Jackson, Mr. October himself, he now works with the Astros, invites me to the Mr. October Foundation golf tournament last year. And I'm about to tee off. I'm like, I used to play a lot, but I just don't have time for it anymore. And so I was just on the practice greens like this, just looking around. I look to the left, I see Marcus Allen. I look to the right, it's like Mike Singletary. I look behind me, it's A-Rod and Derek Jeter. They're talking. Then Ken Griffey Jr. walks up. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? I just couldn't believe it. And then my golf cart disappears. I'm like, where the hell's my golf cart? It's like, my club's on it. Where's my golf cart? They're like, Earl Too Tall Jones took your golf cart, man. And I'm like, going to Earl Too Tall Jones. Like, where's Too Tall Jones? And I see him. I was like, yeah, that's too tall for sure. He's taller than everybody here. I just walk up to him. I'm looking up to him. I was like, what'd you do with my golf cart, man? I need my golf gloves like this. He was like, I didn't take your golf clubs. Cece Sabathia got drunk and took your golf clubs. That's what I heard. He took your golf cart. So I'm like, everybody find Cece. Where's Cece? It was just so fun. I couldn't believe it. It was like inside of my own fantasy. So surreal.
You feel like all those people should only be in the same place if it's a cartoon. Like, it doesn't seem like they should physically all be able to be in the same place.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. And then they asked me to do, like, at the opening dinner, I'm like the only guy like bidding on all the stuff. I'm like the kid. I'm like, can you sign this for me? It was this kid's first time. I thought he was like, he's not gonna do it. I'm like, no, I really need this though. I need you to. I bid on everything. I bid on I literally bid on everything. I put my name. My wife's like, "What are you doing?" It's like, I don't care. I want this. I want it. It's like, I want all of it. I just couldn't resist, man. It was like I was a kid, and our group of players, they put all the non-athletes together. So it was myself, Bun B, 50 Cent, Travis Scott, myself, who else? Oh, Scarface. And then Warren Moon would just pop in, and then all of a sudden Terrell Owens would just pop out of the woods. I'm like, I don't know what planet this is, but I love it. This is literally the greatest day of my life.
Good outcome for a young sports fan. You mentioned doing arenas when you go back and do shows in the Middle East, which must be amazing. How did they first become hip to your stand-up?
Man, so I started going there in 2007. I started doing shows in Egypt. I think it was the first Arab American comedian to ever perform there, doing stand-up comedy there. It was 2006, actually. And then I went back in 7 and 8, and that became a thing. Like, once you start performing in a particular area in that region, it just catches on. Like, word of mouth really starts to spread. And I created a foundation for that, but I didn't have a passport yet So I was still, stateless, and I didn't have an American passport, so I would have to wait, or sometimes I would fly to the country. I would fool the ticketing agent, let's just say mislead the ticketing agent in America. So when I get there, they'd be like, "How did you get here?" I'm like, "Listen, I'm already here. Like, I have a show.
Got this show.
I'm leaving tomorrow. Like, it's not a big deal." It's like, no, it's a very big deal.
I got a nice watch for you. I could give you a deal.
It was wild. I would have to just sit there. I remember sitting there for 17 hours waiting for them to let me in. I'm like, "Listen, guys, it's almost 3 p.m. My show starts at 8. I think I said this to one of them. "Look, what you resist shall persist. Okay? I'm already here. Just like, you don't want to pay for my flight back. I have a flight tomorrow. I'm out of here." They would let me in. And it was that. And then it just grew from there. And of course, after I dropped my first special, The Vagabond, that became a whole thing. And then my series, and I dropped the second special. It just, after the series, it took it to a whole another level in general, just globally for me, not only in the States, but just globally. Yeah, it's a surreal experience. I don't even know how to put it into words. Like, really, it just, that picture, like I said, when I in Cairo, felt like it was telling the future.
Yeah.
That whole picture said it all. There was the military aspect of it, my mom and brother, the writer, the hands on my shoulder, the fact that I was holding a video camera. That picture just tells you everything. The fact I saw Adil Imam was the first experience of live performance, stage performance. It was just there. And now I'm going back and they're building venues. Like, I don't even know. I'm just constantly crying backstage. I'm like, I don't know what to do with all this. I remember FaceTiming Chappelle. I'm like, I got to snap out of this. I got to go on stage. I can't. Hell, it's so emotional. Yeah. Like, I don't even know how to filter it. Like, how is this even real? It's pretty spectacular.
Yeah. I mean, I imagine if that emotion ever comes out, I'm sure the audience is right there with you. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah, Dave told me you're about to have an amazing set. If you're that, like, feeling all that, it's going to be an amazing set. And sure enough, I went on stage. It was just one of the best sets I've had. Like, it was just a thing comes out of you, and I'm so grateful to have that. It's really a beautiful thing.
That's awesome.
I would imagine with Rami, with Mo, with your stand-up, you have this experience that's shared by this giant audience that probably hasn't seen their stories on TV in the same way, or must hear so much appreciation from people. How lovely it is to see a story that reflects the life they've lived.
Considering what's going on in the world, it's a privileged life, Although that it was extremely difficult, I consider myself truly a privileged refugee, somebody who had the ability. My parents were able to had so much forward thought and bring us into a place where we can be set up for success and set up that foundation for us. So I'm very grateful for that. At the same time, I realized, early on, I was the only Muhammad in the South, like, doing stand-up. So I started walking to clubs. I didn't even know, like, you got to remember, I've only been in the States like 8 years at that point when I walked into a comedy club, and people were like, "You sound like Kennison." I'm like, who's Kennison? I don't know who Kennison is. They're like, "You don't know who Kennison is?" Like, no, I basically just got here. I don't know what you're talking about. And they're like, "You sound like Eddie Murphy." I'm like, the actor? He does comedy? They're like, "Yes, he does comedy, bro. You sound like, what are you doing?" And like, "Yeah, you sound like this guy." And they would just tell me I sound like these people that I don't know who the hell they're talking about. I'm like, "What do you mean?" And then the next day, it was a really, really nice guy. He gave me like all these VHS tapes of all these specials. He was like, "Go do your homework." I was like, "Okay, thank you for that." Because we didn't have cable. Like, we just went back and I popped them in, and it just opened me up to a whole new world. And then my mentor, Danny Martinez, just schooled me on all of them. And he mentored a lot of great comedians that went on to have very successful careers. I think Tishan Shannon wrote for SNL for like 10 years.
Oh, yeah, I know Tishan.
You know Tishan?
Yeah, we overlapped in my early years. He's great.
Did you? Yeah. He mentored him. He walked into his club. He had Ralphie May. He mentored Ralphie. When nobody would put him on stage, he put Ralphie on, mentored him. And he's the one who took me under his wings when I was 17. He was like, "Listen, kid, if you listen to what I have to say, you're going to be very successful, but it's going to take you 20 years for that overnight success. But if you're not going to listen to me, then don't waste my time." And I was like, "I'm in." And sure enough, like, it was right on point. He visualized my entire career, and he was completely on point.
Josh always hates when I tell SNL stories, but I'm going to tell a quick Tishan story.
Please.
Which stuck with me for a long time. So it was my first year on the show, and I would just sit at my computer, and I just looked like stress personified, right? Just so nervous. And I remember one day, you could hear people through the wall, and one room over, there were like 4 people working on a sketch. They were laughing so hard while they were working on this sketch, in that way that makes you feel terrible about you looking at a blanket. And T-Shawn walked by, saw me, poked his head, and he goes, "You know what? Let me give you a little secret about showbiz. The ones you yuck it up the most about while you're writing are going to eat shit tomorrow."
I swear that's what I was thinking. I was thinking the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Every time somebody gets super confident about it, I'm like, they're going to bomb.
Yeah. He also used to say, another thing he said is always be nervous about the host who's not nervous on Saturday. If you go up to the host who's never done SNL and is about to do, 90 minutes of live, and you say, "How you feeling?" If they say great, it's about to be a real nightmare of a show. Because you should be nervous. There's certain things you should be nervous about.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And this actually helped me in my framing of versus nervous and butterflies.
Yes.
Like this thing gets like muddied a little bit. And sometimes guys, when they get nervous, they lose perspective. And if you just shift the framing and go, no, it's just because I care so much.
Yeah.
It's the only reason why I'm nervous or have any kind of butterflies. It's this excitement and this like desire to do so well. So just focus on doing well and remember what you need to do and give yourself those pointers. And it's amazing what happens to the nerves. They just start to dissipate. And that's, I can't wait, man. I hope to have that opportunity to host SNL one day and be like a real full circle moment. I can't wait.
You'd be fantastic at it. And this has been so lovely, Mo, to speak to you about your incredible story. It really is something. Credit to your family. Credit to your parents.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Josh, good to see your face.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Josh
good.
did show up.
About halfway through, I was able to jump on here.
No, it was beautiful.
And,
beautiful.
Good to see you too, man.
Josh is now going to ask you a few quick questions.
I got some quick questions for you. These are some quick hitters.
Let's do it.
You can only pick one of these. Your ideal vacation, is it relaxing, adventurous, or educational?
Oh, shit. That's a good one. Relaxing. I'm going to go relaxing.
All right, good.
There you go. There you go. No shame in that.
Because you could relax and read a book, so it could be educational at the same time, right? You could just make it educational if you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need to go on a little for adventurous. Who the hell wants that? I want to climb and be exhausted when I'm there. Let's go hiking for 6 days. You can keep that, okay? You can keep that. I want to go relax.
Yeah. You could also read an adventurous book as
Yes.
you lay on the beach.
You can listen to an audiobook right before you slip off the cliff on an adventurous vacation. Yeah, it'd be great.
What is your favorite means of transportation? Train, plane, automobile, boat, bike, walking?
Oh, my favorite, not practical, motorcycle.
All right.
Great.
Yeah,
Great.
love motorcycles.
Do you have a bike? Do you have multiple bikes?
I do. I did multiple bikes, all
Yeah.
specific type of engineering from different, I have a Triumph, British made,
Classic.
carb. Yeah, exactly. BMW. And then I have an original Indian Scout, which is the first V-twin engine. And then I have the first bike is the Honda that I donated to my show that we used for the series. And that's in my garage. They're all in there.
With a 7-week-old, how many days until your wife says, "Sell those motorcycles"?
She's really, really supportive. Honestly, I'm the one
that's
that's
great.
like, I don't want to. They're kind of like more display pieces now than anything else.
Okay, good.
There's one, and I'm not a city writer. That's not appealing to me at all. I'm more of like, oh, we're gonna go hang out in Ohio with Chappelle's, or we're gonna take a road trip somewhere. It's country, like put it on the trailer, do country rides. Like I nothing about it. It's like, oh yeah, I just can't wait to zip through traffic. Horrible riding experience. Like I don't want that at all. I want open road, beautiful country to see around, in my surroundings. I'm not that guy. Oh, I gotta get out there, man. No. I'm good.
If you could take a vacation with any family other than your own family, they could be fictional, they could be real, they could be alive or dead, what family would you love to take a family vacation with?
Ooh. The Simpsons. I think I want to go on vacation with the
Good
Simpsons.
answer. Really good
Yeah,
answer.
that's
First
great.
Simpsons.
We've not gotten that.
Yeah.
And that would be fun.
I think I'd like to do that.
I would take a family vacation with them. If you had to be stranded on a desert island with one member of your family, who would it be?
I think my nephew Mo. I think he's very resourceful, strong, quiet. He's very quiet.
Great.
He's very chill. That's what I want. I don't want somebody yapping all day. You know what I mean?
Very smart. I think resourceful plus quiet.
He's also a pilot, so if we do find a plane somewhere, we can get the hell out of there. You know what I mean? It's very good. I need those skill set.
And you consider Houston your hometown now?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, great. And would you recommend Houston as a vacation destination?
Yes. If your vacation needs to be like around the most amazing food you've ever had in America, like you would come to Houston for sure. Like,
great.
Houston is wildly underrated. I think it has the best food anywhere in the United States.
All right.
You can get anything you want. Except for some reason, Chinese food, not so great. But Vietnamese, Korean, kill it. Everything else, great.
All right, great.
Gotcha. And then Seth, you want to take it away here?
Mo, have you been to the Grand Canyon?
I have, yes.
And is it worth it?
No, it's not worth it. Not really. No, it's not great.
Thank you, Mo.
It's really just.
Did you
what
have a
waste
lot of
time.
buildup? A lot of lead up? Were you excited for it and then let down, or were you
I went to the biggest dry well of all time. Like, what happened? Like, it's not really great. Hot.
So happy.
I just hated it.
I'm so happy.
This is what I came for. I wish we just flew over it. It was actually better to fly over it when they were like, "Oh, there's a gentleman on the right hand side. There's Grand Canyon." I'm like, yeah, great. Oh yeah, that's cool. Bang, done. Checked off the list.
all right?
Yeah,
Mo,
for sure.
I was really enjoying this, but that's the real cherry on top, how quickly you gave a no to the Grand Canyon.
No, easily answer Grand Canyon. Waste of life.
No, it did
Don't
not
do
seem like it was causing you a lot of
A
consternation.
waste of life.
it. Waste of life. Yeah, those hours that it took me to get there and come back, I'll never get back.
And again, Mo sat in an Egyptian airport for 17 hours, and he didn't want to. It wasn't worth it to go to the Grand Canyon.
That was worse. That was much worse. I'd rather be stateless again. I'd rather be stateless with no passport in the middle of the desert, cooking bread on old coal. Like, I would rather do that. I'd rather do that than go back to the Grand. Actually, they're both similar experiences. That would be the same thing. Go to the Grand Canyon and being homeless. It just nothing about it. Oh yeah, let me take a walk on this clear sidewalk that I could just, be so close to death. I don't want that. Who wants this?
Oh, you can't believe how many suckers want it, Mo.
Maybe if it was like my last days on planet, and I was intending to jump off with a parachute off of it because I'm getting more risque because I don't have much time anyway. You know what I mean? Like,
Right,
maybe
yeah.
that's what I would do.
Yeah, it's like an adventurous hospice.
Yes. Yes. Big fan of
There
adventurous.
should be more of those.
100%. Those guys don't have much time. Skydive now.
Yeah.
Let them live it
I
up.
might die on the way down. Great way to go.
Yep.
Great way to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Mo, for your time. It has been an absolute delight hanging out with you today.
Yeah. Thank you, Mo.
Thank you so much for having me. Likewise. Thank you, guys.
And congrats on the new one. Congrats on the baby.
Thank you so much. He'll do the podcast next time. I got you.
Be well.
Much love. Peace.
Mo moved to Houston 2 days before Halloween. Nobody told him they tried making you scream. Kids went to the bathroom. They called Bloody Mary. That shit was scary. What's wrong with these kids? So now he works out, getting so jacked. So if you try to scare him, he'll put you on your back.